Mark Jensen is the Emmy-nominated re-recording mixer from Welcome to Wrexham. I'm Matt Noble of Gold Derby, and I wanted to kick things off by asking you, Mark, what is your favorite thing about this show?
Wow. A couple things. My favorite thing is the crowd that comes to the games. The songs they sing, the energy that they bring to the not just the games and to the players, but to the episode, right? Because that's as we're playing the games down, that's audio that's kind of coming in from the sides that we can hear, and it just gives the games this like boost. It's not just a bunch of people running around kicking a ball. It's this like life or death thing that is so important to the people who have showed up in the stands. And for me, that I just love that. And it's something that we on the audio side we really try to push. Make sure that like we feel we're there in the arena with the crowd. And then the other thing is like the emotional content. I think you wouldn't think a show about soccer has the potential for this emotional content, but the people in the town and what it means to them, what it means to the players, the individuals who are out there who, when they win a game, it's this huge, thing. And when they lose a game, ooh, right? Like that hurts, right? And especially how it impacts certain players like the goalies, right? I personally, I play hockey and I play goalie, so I know what it feels like to have goalie guilt, what it means to, when you lose by 1 point, the forwards aren't thinking, man, I should have scored one more goal, but the goalie goes home thinking, I should have stopped that one ball, and it's really tough when 5,000 people that you live amongst just watch that, right? So, I mean, you don't think about these things until they're like right there, and then you're just like, wow, like, yeah, hard. This is hard stuff. And yeah, to see a town like Wrexham go from being relegated season after season after season and being just the bottom, and have also just the economic impact of where they are and what's been happening over the years, and to just kind of like see this like life breathed into the town, it's just so uplifting and amazing. So yeah, I would say that those are the things that I enjoy working on the show, and it's content that you're not just going to get from your average home improvement show, so
Yeah.
not to slag them, but
Yeah. I know that like really interesting like you talked about the crowds, and I do think the people from the United Kingdom like are so unique as sports fans, and how they like the chants they come up with, and they've got like one of the highlights, one of the funniest moments of the series is when you've got Ryan Reynolds at an away game and they're cheering you bought the wrong club, which is
yes,
so funny. Uh,
yeah.
did Mark, like how is it from your end when you've got a stadium full of crowds and you're having to think about the sound and sort of mixing that and things?
Yeah, well, so going into it with season one, we all kind of approached it like, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the show is, right? We're just there filming. And so once I realized like, oh, guys, like the crowd is like a big deal, we were at a point where everything was kind of in the can. It was all shot. And so we couldn't go and like film a game and record, the crowd, because it was in the summer that we were doing the post on the show. So we had to take what we had and make it sound as huge as possible, which, there's some sort of tricks that we can do to make that happen and make us feel like, oh, that does sound like we're in a big arena, especially like when they would sing though, We've Got Paul Mullen song. We wanted to make that feel like it was 10,000 people singing that song, when initially it was really just one mono recording, like very thin. So this year we're working on season 2 as we speak, and we went and recorded the crowd, and it is amazing. I'm telling you, season 2, if you can watch it in surround, you are going to be in store for the most immersive, amazing experience. It's truly mind-blowing what we have captured and what we are presenting this season. So I'm really excited about season 2. Season 1 was amazing, but I think season 2 is already looking like could be really something insane. So
Now, you received an Emmy nomination. Congratulations, Mark,
thank
for
you.
sound mixing for a reality program. And you've submitted the episode, or the episode that's been acknowledged is Do or Die, the season finale. And I think it's like a good one for us to talk about because it sort of highlights, I think, some of the real sort of like maybe strengths and challenges that you'd encounter on this show, because it goes back and forth between a football match and the sounds of a football match, knockout, do or die final, and
Yeah,
quieter moments of people in the town and in the
right.
community of Wrexham.
Yeah.
How did you sort of balance that and go from loud to more quiet moments?
I mean, in a way, it's wonderful that we can do that, because it gives the show just that dynamic range. Um, I think that, you know, in and this really is a testament to the editors on the show, because this was a very difficult story to tell. The story you want to tell is we won, it's amazing, right? And then it just doesn't happen. And you have to just retool and be like, how do we tell this now heartbreaking story? And the thing that's, I mean, I think I would have loved to have worked also on the We Won episode, but I've had people come up to me, not even knowing that I worked on the show, and say, have you seen the last episode of Welcome to Wrexham? It is the best non-scripted TV I've seen, I think, ever. And I was just like, I work on the show, right? Like, they were so blown away by just the content of that show that I think that, like, it may have even been a little bit of a miracle that they didn't win, and that we were able to tell that story, and we were able to show just how much winning meant to people. The woman folding up her jerseys at the end of the show and just being like, see you next season, and just the sort of resilience of the town and their ability to just kind of take it on the chin and get ready for next season. Yeah, it was just an amazing show to work on. you know I don't think there's, in terms of like the sound between the loud stuff and the quiet stuff. I mean, it just flows. It is what it is. And Yeah, it was just great to work on that emotional content. I think for me, if we're talking about sound, the thing that was the most interesting was that the moment the other team scored that fifth goal, there's actually no sound. If you go back and look at it, it's just shot with like these booms, and it's just still shots of like the goalie, kind of frozen in midair as the ball's about to go in the net. And so that, I think, was the thing that was the most impactful sometimes, is just to take it all away and just live in that sort of scary space for a few minutes before we kind of come back and start telling the rest of the story. So yeah, sometimes you gotta flip the script. So
And after that freeze frame, we go to Annette folding the shirts.
right.
And we just
Right.
go to her room at the end of the season. We sort of, the first person we hear sort of the result from is her, which is a
Yeah.
really like fun choice, an impactful choice. What was the decision you had to make on that episode, Mark?
Um, you know, not that episode, but there was an episode earlier. I'm always looking for, how do we enhance the emotion of the show? How can I play a part in that? And there was an episode a few before that where, again, they were talking about the goalies, and this was a particular episode where one of the goalies had a very bad performance, you know, and the townspeople were in the pub kind of laughing about him, telling jokes and whatever. And then it would cut to shots of him just sitting in the locker room, kind of dejected, all by himself, no sound. And so what we would do is we were taking those kind of like laugh, those kind of cackles and stuff, and then we would add this huge reverb tail so that when you cut into him sitting in the locker room, you still heard the laugh kind of coming into the shot, like as if it was kind of like he knew that people were laughing about him, you know. So it's those decisions, and I'm sure I made things like that in that final episode. I can't really remember one in
Yep.
particular, but it's things like that where you're looking for how can you enhance the emotional content. And so doing like reverb tails, I'm a big fan of those. I think, you know, there's plenty of times where when we're showing parts of the game, you know, it's just the game, and I'm like, oh, well, let's get some crowd songs in here, you know, let's get them singing, right? And so we'll add that stuff in, and it just adds that extra layer of like, oh man, this crowd's into it. I just actually, I live in Los Angeles. Wrexham just played the LA Galaxy down here in one of our stadiums in Los Angeles, and I was lucky enough to go. And I when I got there, it was kind of just free open seating. You could sit wherever. And I realized that the seat I was in was not like where the Wrexham people were. And so I immediately left. I went to where the Wrexham people were. They had their banners and their flags and whatever. And unfortunately, I don't know why, but no, I was so hoping that they would all, because I know the songs. I know the songs. And I was so hoping I could get them going, you know, or they would start and I would just be able to be there and sing along. And it didn't happen. I think that they were, you know, just maybe too few people. There's some sort of critical mass that has to happen for the songs to start happening or whatever. Or it's just something that you do at the home games, and I don't know. But yeah, I
Too
was
many
so
American fans there.
yeah,
Not enough Welsh fans.
I guess it's just yeah, but it was, you know, that for me, the songs and the crowd or the energy from the crowd is just it's what I live for. So yeah,
Mm,
look forward to that in season 2.
yeah. Like, at its best, what do you see sort of the role as the re-recording mixer and sort of the role that sound plays in telling stories like this?
Um, you know, some of it is technical and not so exciting. You know, sitting in front of a console like that, I think sometimes can look very glamorous and you know, you've got this amazing job. But sometimes it's just kind of a slog. And your job is really just to kind of clean things and make things intelligible. And oh, this line was distorted. How can we fix that? This line is extremely noisy. How can we try to pull the noise down and bring the signal up? It's things that, like, you know, don't really sound exciting, but they really, at the end of the day, now you have this story that is very easy to just sort of like absorb.
Mm.
And it's I have some people even in the industry that are like, you know, colorists and other editors, and they go, you know, Mark, what exactly do you do? You know, like what is, you know, like, because I work with the audio, I see the audio, I don't know how to make this any better. Like, what
Mm.
exactly are you doing? And it really is just these small incremental, oh, this now sounds 10% better, and now, oh, it sounds 20% better, and it's just these small incremental improvements that you can make across the board. So there's that element of it, the sort of technical, just, you know, boring work side of it. And then there's like what I always call like the opportunity to excel. Where is it that you have an idea that no one else had?
Mm.
You know, if you think about it, like there's all these roles in terms of like on a production, there's people who are editors and producers and whatever. And in a way, I also am a producer. I'm making decisions that will impact the, you know, how the thing is perceived. And so I'm always looking for just ideas, things I can try. Does turning this up help? Does turning it down help? Does what if we, you know, completely got rid of this or added something new or replaced it with something else? I mean, you're always just thinking about like, how can we make this the best? And usually the guiding light is story and emotional impact. So you're always just sort of aiming for that. What will create that moment? There's a lot of times where I'll sit down with the director before we watch something, and I'll just say to them, just be aware, I've made some changes in here. You know, like there's going to be some things where I want you to, it's not going to be how you remembered, you know. And oftentimes when I have to sort of like say that, it's because I've taken something away for the emotional impact of it. Sometimes not having audio is really impactful, especially if the score is really good, because then it's just like, I don't know, there's just something magical about that moment where it's just, there's nothing else but the score. So it's just, yeah, it's just always looking for places where you can like make a change, make something different, and bring home that emotional content.
Mm. What about doing the sort of also the sound for Rob and Ryan in the show, who like they're interesting characters because they're sort of the heroes that have come in to bring hope to a town that hasn't had many breaks of recent years, but they're also sort of the for want of a better word, like the ignorant Americans that have come in and are learning the game and learning about how everything works. So they've got that nice sort of contrasted balance there. How does the sound enhance their sort of role in the show?
Um, ooh, I'm not really sure. What I would say is that it's obvious that Rob and Ryan um, understand their role and they're willing to make fun of themselves. And that, I think, is kind of part of the magic of the show. It's fun to just watch them kind of goof around, have fun with things, make fun of themselves. But there's also this reverence that they have for the town and for the team that I think is equally important. And yeah, so for in terms of audio, it's kind of like they play a weird role where it's like they're on screen, they're on camera, but they also do a lot of like narration type things where they narrate what's happening. And so again, for on the audio side, I don't know that there's really anything interesting to say there in terms of like this is VO and this is dialogue,
Yeah.
But the other thing that I think when you're watching the show, there was early in the episodes, there was one where Ryan is mic'd up and he goes to the bathroom and he's peeing while his lavalier microphone is on, right? And the sound of him peeing is like, it's part of the show. They kind of make fun of it. They're like, hey, listen, this is the sound of Ryan Reynolds peeing. But you don't realize like what it's like to wear a mic for 8 hours and have cameras follow you around. Like it's weird. And so I think that they do a great job in terms of like allowing themselves to be recorded and to give themselves to the show, because they don't have to, right? This show could be different. This show could be just about the team, and they might not be involved as much. Like I'm sure that show exists somewhere, but they decided to put themselves into the show, and I think for its benefit. So yeah, I mean, dealing with anybody's audio is always a little tricky because there's so many things that can go wrong. Radio microphones have a whole variety of the vagaries of things that can happen. But again, this goes to the technical side of it where, it's our job to try and present that as cleanly as possible. And there's a lot of tools that we have available to do that. So yeah, it's just trying to put the best thing forward at all times, however we can.
Yeah. And this show is about a football club, but more than that, it's probably about a community and the hope within this town and community. What inspired you most about Wrexham, Mark?
It's a good question. I mean, I think, again, seeing a town go from maybe not having so much hope, to being excited about their football team and seeing just the overwhelming support that they have received in terms of like the sales of jerseys and just the town spirit. That is huge. It's nice to see. It's certainly, my wife and I have talked about, hey, if we ever did go to, England, maybe we'll stop by and see a game, how fun that would be, so I'm sure tourism has picked up, there, and it's, I'm sure that's probably an amazing feeling to suddenly be kind of a spot on the map, for them. But yeah, I think just, seeing the people, seeing their stories, seeing how all of this has impacted them it's really fun to see. It's, yeah, I mean, you know, I've thought about doing like social media posts where I kind of like tag myself, you know, hashtag Wrexham. I haven't yet because I still feel kind of like an outsider, like a little bit like hanger on. I don't want to come off that way, but obviously I'm a Wrexham supporter, and as is my entire team. The reason I bought these, I bought that for my whole editorial team. So yeah, so you know, it's a fun thing to be a part of and to see happen, and see the success of the team and the town, you know.
Yeah. Well, as someone not from Wrexham, I can't comment on whether you're an outsider or an insider there, but you're definitely an insider at the Emmy Awards now as a nominated editor. And it's so nice that Wrexham, the show has 6 Emmy nominations, and that must be lovely for the town as well. Mark, thank you so much for talking with us today. All the best of luck for the Emmy Awards.
Thank you.
How exciting is that?
A lot of my friends are also nominated, so
yeah,
you know, I honestly don't care who wins. I just, you know, I'm happy to be a part of it. This is my 3rd nomination, so you know, maybe 3rd time's a charm. I don't know, but either way, if I win, if my friends win, I'm going to be so happy for everybody. So
it's going to be a great night.
Yep, love it.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we'll, so all the best. People can go to goldderby.com to follow the Emmy Awards. And Mark, just thanks so much for the time. This has been a blast.
Thank you so much.